Hello, everyone. In today's podcast, I will have the pleasure to talk to a guest from Colombia. His name is Cesar Patiño. Cesar is a reservoir engineer for Colombia's national oil company, Ecopetrol. He's currently leading an important mission within his company, and more importantly, within the ambitious energy transition goals set out by the government of Colombia. Cesar occupies various positions that interlock together within the frame of energy transition and his professional background. To name some, he's a senior engineer for Ecopetrol's Technical Development Center, and in this role, his mission is to take on initiatives that can generate opportunities by producing geologic hydrogen and geothermal co-production together with oilfield assets. He's a geothermal council advisor for the Competency Alliance. He's also a chairman and leader for the Technical Collaboration Program in Enhanced Oil Recovery of the International Energy Agency. He's also a spokesman for the Society of Petroleum Engineers International, SPEI, in matters related to energy transition. Cesar, welcome to the podcast episode.
Jose, thank you very much for the invitation to this great space. I'm happy to be here with you and bring all my experience and knowledge and what we have been working now to be here today from the reservoir asset development to the energy transition.
Great. Thank you, Cesar. Before I start with questions, I would like to comment that I was pleasantly surprised when I ran across with a publication posted in LinkedIn by you. Uh, in this post, you refer to guidelines for the development of geologic hydrogen by the Energy and Mines Ministry of Colombia. My surprise came since this is what I would call a pioneer move by any Latin American country on this matter. That post is what triggered me to contact you and invite you for this conversation. And well, we are here now talking, and I want to hear first, before we talk about that uh, strategy of the government of Colombia, I want to know a little bit about you. Cesar, how a petroleum engineer found interest in the energy transition?
Okay, I have been doing actually like petroleum engineer energy transitions since I started my career because as we are part of our Latin American culture, we have main assets as well as well energy requirements come related to forests. So oil and gas industry to our society was a focus on my start of the career as well. So, and connect natural resources to energy. That is the concept of the energy transition today. Was part of my philosophy to become petroleum engineer. And then working like reservoir engineering and leading the different societies like SPE, like regional director in Latin America, and my role on the Enhanced Oil Recovery Program on the TCP from the International Energy Agency. Struggle me for the challenges that is happening with the oil and gas business versus the energy transition. So I say, okay, let's say you are a petroleum engineer, how I can collaborate and how can I add energy to this energy transition requirement. So I just look into my background, come into my surface understanding and say, I have more resources that I have been studying when I did my petrophysicist job, when I did my role on technology leadership, and as well when I have been working like a senior reservoir engineering. I have been found aquifers, I have been found temperature, I have been found porosity and permeability, fluids that are not only hydrocarbons, but as well can generate energy capacity and energy option for an energy tank. So looking forward to have the reservoir not only for hydrocarbons energy, but like a reservoir, like an energy tank, where I can provide kilowatts per hour from the geothermal, where I can provide tons of hydrogen from the reservoir, or I can add either minerals that can become with lithium or other options that can come as well from the subsurface, from the logging understanding, from the reservoir modeling. I say, is the option that I should put my knowledge on this one. So my
Excellent.
managers take me and say, okay, Cesar, uh, let's go. Drive yourself on these options, how we can decarbonize the asset development. And that's why I'm looking forward on the energy transition. And not only from the perspective point that we have, from the knowledge we have on geoscientists, as well from the strategic part of it. Because we have to add reserves and resources from our assets with the progress from our reservoirs. So, okay, I'm going to continue providing energy from the hydrocarbons, but this has to be committed to the net zero options. So, I create a strategic tool as well that is correlated ECOMAC that correlated to abandoned technology options. So I progress resources and production with reserves for the growth of hydrocarbons, but I include energy options inside renewable projects, energy efficiency, and the alternative option that we have first can reduce the carbon intensity I producing with this type of project that can be around the region where I have the assets. So connected all the projects and looking forward for development plans plus the subsurface knowledge is something that I connected like petroleum engineering on the energy transition and decarbonization challenge we have today.
Wow, that is a very holistic view. And I mean, this combination of approaches of combining technologies, combining oil and gas with renewables, and in the particular case of what you are doing, and resources that are underground, not just oil and gas, but also, of course, geothermal and geologic hydrogen. Uh, this is very interesting. It totally aligns with my own form of my own approach. Right. That's why I am so committed to make these emerging technologies grow. That's great. Could you tell us about this initiative from the government of Colombia regarding geologic hydrogen? I mean, these guidelines that I read that you posted. Uh, how did it started? Who are you? One of the proponents? What are you doing with this, and what advancements have been done so far? Could you please tell us a bit about?
Sure, Jose. Thank you for that. And I think the first definition or point I would like to raise here is about that we should work together, government, industry, and academia, to integrate what the options we have. And as well, we have to be open mind to different options. There are a lot of still stigmatism or special issues related to hydrogen, natural hydrogen around the world, as have been starting since 2012 and the different options that have been discovered with Mali, but it's not a common, playground that geoscientists, reservoir engineering of governments have been applied. Nevertheless, the progress that have been developed in Australia, the progress that have been developed in Europe, in the United States, and of course, all get it with the booster of Mali production of hydrogen leave us an options when Colombia start to create the hydrogen roadmap. If you remember, that was in 2021, where the government in Colombia raised the hand and say we are going to be players on the hydrogen roadmap and recreate a technology options, but as well industrial options and what are the frame where the society should be evolving on special hydrogens, all going together in low emissions alternatives with hydrogen. So 2021 was the year where we start all this career about it. So how I get involved in this one? Because actually I have always be open for technology, as you can see on my career, and to bring new alternatives and breakthrough alternatives. So looking into the vision, how I add what we have been talking about in the previous questions, or the subsurface value to the hydrogen roadmap, I start to study and look around what will happen related to hydrogen, and found these interesting options that have been developed in Kansas, in some of Kansas areas, as well in Australia and Mali, that has this type of alternative. So I say, okay, let's put together on this, and we start to create special technical tables, and as well start to disseminate this type of concept. And I think if you impact with your knowledge, the society, the academia, and the industry, all the ecosystem are going to move forward on what you would like to do. And I think that is part of what I have been doing in my mission, in my job. Actually, I just in the last days I post on my status starting this 2024 January goals, and looking backwards about 2023, what you have been done. I say, okay, job well done, check. So when I saw this regulation that you mentioned, the natural hydrogen 2235 special law and regulation that come about on the mark on the special actions and mark or related to the frame of the transición energética justa, that is part of the plan that we have in the government, that is special energy transition agree and be afforded for everyone. So the results that we get on December 22nd about the natural hydrogen regulation can come through different alternatives and steps from the government, from the 2021st, of course, making based about what we have been done already in the declaration of the natural resources that had the government applied previously, a special framework, as the government is the owner of the natural resources of the underground, the subsurface options, and all these regulations, and as well the new options and the government, the current government, give booster, give imperative options to include natural hydrogen or white hydrogen into development of the national plan that we have in the country. So the current 2022 to 2024, 26 development plan of the current government include white hydrogen for all the country. So this as well is as well as part of the transition on that. And we have been working from Ecopetrol. We have been working with the geological Colombian service. We have been working as well with the regulatory agency or the ANH, sitting together in a technical table, showing these different options as we mentioned before, about geothermal, about natural hydrogen, about options on minerals or aquifers alternatives that can create opportunity on energies on this ocean. And actually, there are more changes that the government are coming on the institutions and the agency or the regulation for this type of geoscience integration of energy alternative from the underground that will become soon as well. And as well, CCUS is something that will be coming soon. All these become related to the understanding of the underground and how we can connect what we have it. That is more or less the same as we mentioned before. And this not only has been put in place here, Jose, in Colombia. You can go through some talks I did, like SP Regional Director on the pandemia frame we have it, as I had to change my visit on presence to a virtual alternatives. I had a space that was called Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About was transmitted by Facebook and was submitted as well in some of YouTube options. And we start to talk about geothermal, natural hydrogen, lithium. We connect Argentina, we connect Peru, we connect Venezuela, we connect Trinidad and Tobago, because this is something that is not only happened here in our current country and Colombia, but it's something that we have a potential in all the Latin American region. And that's why I'm very happy that part of these seeds that have been located in these auctions come together here. Sometimes in our space, in our sphere, or our society of the petroleum engineer, Cesar, what you are doing with geothermal, what you are dealing with natural hydrogen, come on, guy. It's something that you should be focused on continue producing hydrocarbons and continue producing our oil option. I say, yes, I'm focusing to produce hydrocarbons and oil options, but that no means I cannot see what as well we have it in the alternatives that we have in the potential underground, because it's something that we should require. So that was looking ahead. And actually, I started this one in around 2019, so it's around 5 years. I had been already started working on this scenario, and you can find it either before the worldwide SPE board started the geothermal section or the natural hydrogen section. We have been starting here in Latin America this concept that I always open to bring disruptive ideas that be a visionary or be a challenger or a game changer is something that
Exactly.
come on my blood.
That's exactly what you are. You're a visionary, a disruptor, and a game changer. I mean, your impetus and what you are doing in your country and I mean broadly in Latin America. I mean, it is very impressive, and I'm very happy that Colombia has now a framework, regulations that so they can be firm steps towards exploration and looking for these resources that are waiting to be discovered and to be utilized. And no, yes, it's great what you are doing. And has it been difficult for you to? Did you find a lot of hurdles, a lot of maybe even opposition? I mean, you already mentioned some people will say, why are you doing this? You know, I mean, you are a petroleum engineer. You should just focus in oil and gas. So was it difficult, especially in the environment where everybody is oil and gas people? I guess you will always find people that have similar views than you know, and your new government also is pushing for energy transition, which is also really good. But tell us about your personal experience. Was it hard? Did you find a lot of uh, obstacles in your way to get to where you have gotten now?
Um, as you mentioned, definitely some barriers have been gone, yes, because people have different perspectives, and it's a matter of tune or bring the vision or the needs, and that will happen with the time. So being ahead of what will be happening or how we can contribute has been always a challenge for me, because I had to knock the door, explain not only once, twice, three times, four times, five times, nevertheless, to one person, two person, anyone that can listen you is always valuable. And something that I had always on my concept. Only one person come to my meeting. To that person, I will pass my knowledge. And if come five or come 100 or 200, I pass the knowledge as well. So because I think on the way we put and do the changes, we should be humble and we should be receiving, because no everyone has the same requirements, need, challenges today. We should understand as well. No, we should in our industry and in our society has the persons that going looking forward and the person that are dealing with the status quo that we should accomplish as well. So yes, this has been a barrier because maybe it's not the same manner. So knock the door and say, Cesar, no, I just want barrels. I don't want this concept about carbon intensity. I don't matter about these CO2 options or energy alternatives that you are bringing from underground. Thank you. Maybe next year or maybe in 2 years, or say, okay, no problem. I go with my portfolio's ideas to the other person and insist and insist. And I think a real value I have in our societies, like SPE, like APG, like EAGE, like SEC, so all the different affiliations is that can allow you to provide your knowledge as the space you bring me today, Jose, and thank you for again for the invitation. Is you are doing this in the professionalist manner. You know there is a confidentiality options and special strategy for your affiliations or organizations or your companies that you cannot step out, that you have to respect. But as well, if you have your idea or you have your knowledge that can be applicable to go further, is something that we should be using. And it's the invitation to all generations to do it. And when I mention all generations, is because I coming from uh, be an engineer with 50 years old, but does not mean that I have no perspective and sensible to the energy transition, to the carbonization as the new generation has or as the previous generation has. And the knowledge of all the generations have been put together. That is something, a challenge as well. Because when you knock the door or when you try to open ideas with the different generations, you have to have a special perspective on the way to go and put together. And it's a matter as well to bring the competences and the interests. Um, there are some societies that I have been knocking the door and say, Cesar, no, no, don't use the space for geothermal. Geothermal is not underground, but geothermal today is leading billions of dollars in United States and in European community. So if we haven't this taken before, was another time or should be um, another future for this type of organizations. But I think it's part of the ball of the system, and no all the institutions, no all the persons has to have the same revolution or mature. I think one are followers or other ones are pioneers. So we need to see as well on this one on the challenge. And it's a matter that it's not only with the energy transition, it's as well with all technology. And as you mentioned, Jose, before about disruptive elements, about technology roadmaps or emerging technologies, that is something that we face out. And that is something that I am a specialist about because actually I have been on the role of technology management leader on Ecopetrol. I was on the strategic role 8 years ago. And that's why I moved forward from petrophysics to reservoir to be the technology strategic leader for all the chain value, upstream, midstream, and downstream,
Wow.
where I have the opportunity to connect everything, but as well how we can put this concept now to enhance our recovery, as I was part of the strategic leader team on technology from pilot to expansion. And we have in Ecopetrol a huge development on combustion in situ, on polymers, on water flooding options that come to recovery. And that's why today I'm part of the worldwide board on the International Energy Agency from the Enhanced Oil Recovery Programs with more than 15 countries leading these options like volunteering. Yes, like volunteering.
Mhm.
So it's something that you found a barrier in the concept, options, timing, generations, but you had to find a way to put all and do the right alternatives, and with the humble and we be a human that would like to have a better future for everyone.
Great, great. I'm also an oil and gas professional. I'm a geologist, and I work in the oil industry as well as a geologist. And I ask you about these hurdles and obstacles that you might have found. along the way up until now, and you will probably find more and more as you continue with your pursuit of bringing these emerging technologies uh, to life, right? Because I hear people saying, uh, you know, geothermal is only viable where there are volcanoes, or geologic hydrogen is just it's a dream. It doesn't happen. I mean, mention some geologic hydrogen reservoirs that are producing in the world. Well, you mentioned Mali, right? But it's an isolated case. And in reality, this is really emerging. This is only now happening. Geothermal beyond the conventional is still emerging, right? With these advanced geothermal systems, closed loops or enhanced geothermal systems, and underground natural hydrogen or geologic hydrogen is something really new. So you often hear from people, you know, they don't believe it basically, or they don't want to, because of ignorance or because simply uh, they're close-minded. But we need people like you, people disruptive that is not afraid of talking with science and with knowledge can inspire, can change the mentality of other people. And I guess we can prove it in Colombia and in Latin America and all around the world that these technologies work, or these emerging uh, natural resources that are laying underground can actually produce energy for a cleaner uh, uh, environment, right? Where we don't need to burn fossil fuels, right? Which is important. We still need it, right? And that's what their energy transition is, to go from one to the other. But it's a transition. The name says it all. You have to go in steps, in stages, right? And what you are doing, is very important. And uh, I would like to know if there is actually any findings that in Colombia or in South America of geologic hydrogen. And when it comes to geothermal, is there anything that it is being done now that there is this framework and regulations? Is there anything that it is actually being done, or uh, potentially things that will be done in the near term in these both areas?
Yes. Okay. For sure. Actually, related to the natural hydrogen findings, here in Latin America, different countries have been already start to do the analysis and studies related to it. In Colombia, yes, we are leading that one. We have been found positive answers in some of the basins here that we have it to found a system. That is something that we are studying from the Llanos Basin, from the option that we have as well on Putumayo, but as well in Cauca Patia Basin. So we have been some shows uh, or samples taken or the microseepage. That is something that we need to continue doing studies and looking forward if this become economically or how this one can come on the different options. That is something that just came out on last weekend on El Espectador. As you can see, a Colombian newspaper have been talking about that one from the different studies that universities and industry and government today we are working together on this option. And in Brazil, I know have been doing some analysis and some findings as well. There are some papers related how they are working on that one. Argentina is looking forward to have this type of resources as well. And as well, there are some alternatives in Bolivia that have been working. Here in Latin America, we have the great opportunity that advisors and international authorities like Dr. Isabel Moretti, like Alain Christopher, that is located in Brazil, and Denis Briere. All of these gurus about natural hydrogen have been here in our countries and looking forward to find this type of resource on ground and see how today Petrobras, Ecopetrol, um, national governments are coming to this type of strategy and do the regulation as Colombia has today is something that encourages to the commitment of the natural hydrogen resource in Latin America. Related to geothermal, yes, in Colombia actually do we have already the 4302 from 2022 regulation is a special resolution that come out from the government where just last week you published about Paris has the first
Yes.
register option on geothermal. That's part of the movement we have in the ecosystem. As well, in Ecopetrol, we are looking forward to have API, is a co-production analysis that we are doing inside the Ecopetrol, as have been mentioned by our president and our strategic in a public manner. So geothermal in co-production is something that we are working as well, as have been mentioned since the beginning, trying to do synergy of this one. And the good thing is the law, the regulations include the terms of the co-production. So that means the coexistence of resources. That means the options to have it exploitation or alternatives to have hydrocarbons, have geothermal, have natural hydrogen as part of the options on the blocks or as well on the fields or where we have it already acquired on the oil and gas industry. That is more or less same model that we have in Australia, that some blocks can coexist this type of resources, and some regulations have been changes in this sense. So geothermal, yes, we have been advanced. Actually, that baby was the pioneer on all the resources. We started that studies around 5 years. Then with the workflows of geothermal, with the understanding of the basins about geothermal, we understand as well natural hydrogen. As you know, natural hydrogen can be connected with geothermal systems. So that's the way I just changed my profile on LinkedIn and I put energy systems engineer on my background because at the end it's not only that what we have been founded with our hydrocarbons is an energy tank is the concept that we should keep in our mind and how I going to produce, how I going to explore, how I going to connect all the requirements on different chain value to produce this option is something that we will be working. So it's something that is already connected and put in place.
Perfect. There are two things that I wanna I wanna touch. First, with geologic hydrogen. The sources of geologic hydrogen are different than the sources of oil and gas, hydrocarbons. You know, we relate geologic hydrogen with iron-rich rocks that get uh, affected by meteoric water or just water at high temperature, or also because of the uh, uh, radioactivity of acid rocks, also in combination with water, radiolysis. And because of these different origins, they have been found necessarily when drilling for oil and gas. I mean, geologic hydrogen not necessarily exists where oil and gas exists, right? And my question is here: the potential is also that it could be in sedimentary basins, and we know oil and gas is in sedimentary basins. So you mentioned that there has been some seepage and some findings in sedimentary basins, or where oil and gas is also present, or not necessarily where oil and gas is present, but perhaps within the basin in certain areas. Do you see any relation or any affinity in the finding of oil and gas and geologic hydrogen, or not really?
I don't know if you are familiar with, there is a special study from the different options of geological alternatives that can create hydrogen around the world. It's a
Mhm.
map coming from an author of a Russian author that put different alternatives of geological generation. And in this type of generation that we have it, um, sedimentary with aquifers in place has the alternative to have natural hydrogen. And as well, there are some wells that come in Kansas, some wells that come in Australia, that in oil and gas industry exploration have these resources, hydrocarbons, and hydrogen and helium. And that is something that, yes, can coexist. We need to understand very well, and that's what we are doing here. Understanding the percentage we are getting, understanding how feasible is the production of this element, or how this can come related to how we are handle these type of needs of options, because can come with another gases, the hydrogen. So will be in function of the environment, or the geological environment, but sedimentary basins or geothermal alternatives, or metamorphics, or volcanics, or ophiolites, or another options can come together around this one. So it's something that that will be come together on how we are working on this integration of the system. That's why we should bring all our knowledge. And the invitation is, don't be skeptical, just retaking, maybe change the glasses, put another put another filter, um, put another filter in how we have been seeing, because some of the discoveries happened today about natural hydrogen have been retaking the data of all hydrocarbons wells.
Mhm.
And as well, today water is taking a very important role, and doing PVT analysis for water is something that we should do it. We don't should only do it PVT for hydrocarbon systems. We should do PVT for water systems,
Yes,
because water can have gas dissolved like hydrogen in the
yes,
system, and the
exactly.
percentage of this hydrogen come into this dissolved water will give us economical options that come with the value hydrogen has, but as well, like other gases like helium can add to the asset and to the value. So
Absolutely.
before we say this field has no value, or this field is not attractively economically, just add the filters that we would like to put now with hydrogen, geothermal, or another gases, or either minerals on what we have it underground.
Yes, it has been simply ignored in many cases. I mean, nobody was looking for hydrogen when drilling oil and gas wells, and it probably was missed many times, right?
Exactly.
Because they were not
But
looking for it in water, right? They were looking for hydrocarbons, the gas detectors, the chromatographs. They were reading chromatography of hydrocarbons, but it could have been dissolved in many aquifers in formation water, and who knows? There are so many uh, places where there is big amounts of geologic hydrogen that it was simply not noted or ignored or dismissed.
so,
Hmm.
yes, and here the invitation is just to add all the concepts we have been getting, some answers on surface, we should get its own understanding underground, we should get modeling, we should get fluids like PVT analysis underground, but all the spectrum, chemical reactions, physical conditions. So it's something that is invitation that we have a lot of opportunity to translate our competences that we have been already starting on the geoscience understanding of the oil and gas industry to these resources for the energy transition.
Hmm. Yes. Now talking about geothermal and what is happening in Colombia. Yeah, it was released in the news a few days ago, and I I shared it in the LinkedIn page. Uh, Parex is going to drill for geothermal. This is very interesting. Is it going to be a hot aquifer that they are looking for? Is this well going to be also for oil and gas, or uh, do you have any information that you can share? I mean, is
It's about the public information. Do we
yeah.
have it? As I mentioned today, the regulation in Colombia allow the companies to claim for a block for an area,
Hmm.
and the company can claim to develop geothermal production. So that is something that is open, as before was for the rounded or hydrocarbon, now can be rounded or alternatives or options to have blocks related to geothermal, and for sure in the future as well related to natural hydrogen. Yes. About what is going to do Paris, what you mentioned and post from the Reuters post is about that they are now they get the license or the permit to work in certain area to develop the studies, the understanding, and the commitment to drill or to explode and produce geothermal from that area.
Hmm. It's I guess it's a hot aquifer, right?
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. We have here in Colombia different geothermal anomalies,
Hmm.
and that is something that was open um, for the regulations, for the regulation I mentioned to you, the 4302 uh, resolution of the 2022 um, year that we have been taking this consideration of the geothermal registration.
Is geothermal used at all uh, in Colombia? I mean, I could say
Um,
I mean, for power generation in my country, Peru, no. But even the Incas were using geothermal for hot springs and for thermal baths and stuff like that. Uh, but is there anything in Colombia other than maybe thermal baths? Is there any production of industrial production of geothermal?
okay, in Colombia, there are some use that we have it on a special area where we have a special hot springs.
Mhm.
It's called in Villa de Leyva, Paipa. The hot springs have been used for tourist places,
Mhm.
and it's welcome to come to Colombia as well. So we have different hot springs on different places in the country, but that means that we have a hot resource underground.
Mhm.
So this economically has been used under certain scenarios for tourists, and now for a commercial production related to agriculture products that is using today. Is the first use related to geothermal, but with the regulations and the alternatives and the incentives that the government is putting right now, the idea is to become with more alternatives and options that come together on this alternative. And this geothermal um, pathway have been have as well as the natural hydrogen be from different regulations, different incentives that the Inter-American Bank have been as well supported the development in Colombia related to this one, and have been created new regulations that go on with resolutions that have today the opportunity to have the latest one that we have here. And looking forward for a society 5.0 society where technology, um, option with sustainability can come together.
And you know what? Geothermal, all along the Andes, is a really low hanging fruit. It is, I mean, you don't need to go with a non-conventional route because you have it there. You have volcanoes all along the the Pacific Ring of Fire, right? And South America is a part of that, right? And to my understanding, the only place where in South America, not Central America, because Central America has a geothermal production in El Salvador, for example, but in South America, it's only in Chile, Cerro Pabellon. But I wanted to know if there is still maybe something that I didn't know, and I guess no. It's other than for recreation so far is just in Chile in Cerro Pabellon. But now I'm sure Colombia will soon see geothermal production at industrial scale for power,
Exactly.
and other countries will follow. Probably Peru, and there will be more in Chile, Argentina, and
Even Brazil as
Brazil.
well. Brazil as well is looking for some fields as well with geothermal
Okay,
anomalies.
okay. Well, that will not be related to the Andes,
No,
obviously, but yeah, that's great. Great. Uh,
yeah,
so,
yes, and Trinidad and Tobago,
mhm,
Trinidad and
yeah.
Tobago as well, and the Caribbean island as well has
Mhm.
some options, and as
Yes.
we have our region, Latin American Caribbean,
Latin America.
that
Yeah,
has
I was thinking South America, right? But yeah, if you talk about Latin America, definitely in the Caribbean. Yeah, I am aware of
yes,
that, and also
yes,
a country that produces a lot of geothermal is El Salvador
yes.
within the
Central
region.
America,
Hmm.
South America has the challenges, and actually, if you see the different events
Hmm.
we have been developed here with APG, with AGE, I come related with the speakers from Central America, from Mexico, from United States, but as well with the different initiatives that we have it now in South America. And it's something that we should add more geothermal in portfolio, but one invitation is to have more incentives, economical incentives to this type of equipment and to this type of perforation and production. And we have to be very careful how we apply the economics on the asset valuation of this type of resources, because we cannot do a copy paste from the hydrocarbon industry. This has a special value, a special impact, and as well a special alternative with the tax, with the CO2 tax credits that can generate to change an energy matrix with geothermal that is cleaner, that is more sustainable, that is 24/7 um, resource that is going to be always as you burn around from the ground.
Base
Is something
load
that exactly
is key. 24/7. That's
24/7.
that's the great advantage, right? Versus solar and wind, for example.
Exactly.
Right. Great, great. I think we're getting close to the end of the interview, but I would definitely like to hear more about your vision for the future and your perspectives, and anything else you want to add to close the interview.
Okay, Jose, thank you very much. Actually, it's something that I have been working on for the future, and it's already here on my wall. I don't know if you see notice here is engineer
Yeah,
5.0.
yeah. Tell us about that. What is that?
Yeah, that was a concept, and that's the concept that thrilled me out about we have to go forward for a society that can provide energy security, but as well equal access to the resources. And us, like engineer and geoscientists, working with the surface resources we have it, we can provide the energy with the commitment to decrease and to don't have CO2 emissions that can generate some options or challenges with the climate change or emissions. So being efficiently sustainable and put the energy affordable in our society is the concept of energy 5.0. That is something, and that's the vision. And how we can make it is just be open mind to the different alternatives, bring the knowledge we have it already, and other thing as well, be open that other societies has been developed that have been going farther than other ones, and that is something that our our indigenous, and as well um, Nordic culture and European culture, and humanity had been moved where the knowledge is, and then go backwards to the society they have. So travel to go and look forward for more knowledge is an alternative option. We don't know everything. There are another society that have been developed something that we should customize, that we should bring it. So, and that's the invitation as well, to be open to interchange ideas, interchange culture, visit another societies, look, see how they have been developed, the geothermal challenges on Islandia, on this island, how they have been developed, aeolic on Norway, how they have developed the different hydrocarbon perspectives, on Saudi Arabia, on carbon with carbonate challenges. With there are different resources that the societies have been developed because they had the needs and they had the resources. When we go as a newcomer, we get surprised how they have been used the resources that we have, maybe in another conditions and others. Oh, so it's something that opens your mind and see. So the invitation to travel, the invitation to know other cultures is something as well that I do. Knowledge not only come where we have been writing, knowledge come as well to how we can interchange, and as well this space, Jose, that you created is something that we can the technology bring us today and be closer with the knowledge and the interchanges, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. And yeah, I agree with you. These are actually great times for 2024, this generation, to exchange ideas. We have there are no limits. We have the internet. We have the ability to connect in real time. You are in Colombia. I am in Northern Europe, in Latvia, and we can exchange great ideas, and we can share them with thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, and it's crazy. It's crazy, and we should take advantage of that. And well, thank you very much, Cesar. It's been great talking to you, and I'm sure we will be in touch in the near future. And yeah, I welcome any possibility of sharing ideas and information, because we are on this together, right? And we are part of a community. So everything that I can, help, or maybe we can meet again in the future. That'll be super. And to the audience, thank you for watching this podcast episode, and I hope I can see you soon in the next one. And well, like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.